Hey man, it's me, Kevin Smith, Silent Bob, and all those terrible Jay and Silent Bob type pictures, man. You're listening to Drop the Mic, the only podcast that I listen to that I'm not a part of. Every podcast I listen to, I usually talk on it, but not fucking Drop the Mic. That's where I'm like, let me hear what the boys have to say. And now, we drop the mic.
Hi, Kevin. Hey, can I get your autograph?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks. Oh, don't you want to ask me who to make it out to?
Oh, yeah, sure.
It's Pam.
Pam?
Mm-hmm. You're supposed to say nice to meet you, Pam.
Yeah. I'm sorry. It is nice to meet you, Pam.
It's nice to meet you too, Kevin.
Did you want my brother, son?
No, just you.
Okay, then.
Your folks not teach you how to ask questions?
Like what?
Well, like, who shall I make this out to? Or would you like to have a drink with me sometime, Pam?
Are you asking me out?
Make me feel a little worse while you're at it.
No. Sorry, no. I would love to go out with you, Pam. Wasn't that? Yeah, I've just never been asked before.
Well, hopefully it'll go well. And then no one else will have the chance to ask you again.
Welcome back to our Humble San Diego podcast. We are your hosts, Wesley Swanson and Ryan Jimenez, and together we are Drop the Mic. And this is episode 349, Live That Way Forever, where we're going to be revisiting the Iron Claw film from 2023. But first, let's get everybody warmed up out there. What's up, Ryan? How are you? Welcome back.
What's up? I know we've been gone for a couple of weeks. I miss this.
Definitely been missing it. I think we've both been relatively busy.
Been pretty busy. For the listeners who don't know us out there, we got like big boy jobs now that we kind of have to put in a lot of work now.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And now for a special news report. Brought to you by Drop the Mic.
First off, we need your thoughts on the Beetlejuice trailer that dropped yesterday.
Beetlejuice. I am very stoked on this. I thought this trailer was very well put together. It's not giving away very much of anything, but then it's still reeling you in, and it looks very authentic. It looks like the sequel that we needed.
Yeah, dude, and I'm fucking stoked that Keaton kind of said, he didn't want to do it if it wasn't going to have a lot of practical effects. And I know Burton kind of said that that he's gonna. There's a lot of the stop motion effects in it.
Oh, awesome! Okay.
So I'm glad they went that route, dude.
Yeah, if it isn't broke, don't fix it, right?
Yep. And honestly, like you said, the trailer looks like it's the sequel we need. And I think I mentioned it on the show before. I mentioned it to you off air, but god damn it, man, they have to. It has to start with him waiting for his number to be fucking called. Still, right? Like a 30-year fucking joke.
Well, I mean, thinking about that poster reveal, it seems like they're already referencing it for us, so I would say, yeah, you're not too far off.
Another trailer dropped last week. Let's talk about The Crow.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Very.
What are your thoughts?
It's a very, very divisive thing that's happening with The Crow. A lot of people on board, a lot of people not, for a variety of reasons. One of the big ones being that people don't think that this should have ever been touched because of the fact that Brandon Lee passed away while making this film. So it kind of has his legacy all over it. My take on that is if any of those people really gave a shit, they wouldn't have let all those sequels happen that we already got years ago.
Yeah.
You know, they've been, there's at least, I want to say 2 of them that are straight to video. One of them starring Edward Furlong. So, I mean, if those got the pass, got a green light, then a complete reimagining shouldn't be off the table. And it's not, you see, they weren't trying to, it doesn't seem like they were trying to mimic what's already been done. It's a completely new take. My thoughts on the trailer is I feel like they gave away a lot of their playbook, you know.
Yeah.
And I understand a lot of people already know what the story's about. It comes from a graphic novel, you know, and it's no secret what it's actually about, but they just give you what feels like almost the play-by-play in that very first trailer, and I felt like it was just too soon to reveal that much. It looks visually cool. There's not much I can say really bad, except for that it looks completely different and modernized in the way of John Wick or even a little bit of Constantine seems peppered in there. The thing about remakes or reboots is I've never thought that they really tarnish any kind of legacy when it comes to whatever source material we're talking about. If anything, it just strengthens how great, you know, that original movie is, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
For me. So yeah. I guess we'll see when we get closer to its release. It's coming out, it's slated for a summer release, right? June or something?
Yeah, June. I got one more trailer I want to talk about with you. The Alien trailer dropped.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Romulus.
I think it's more of a teaser than a trailer. It doesn't show much.
That's what we need, man. We need more of you're gonna wait until you watch the real movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah, dude, it looks good, dude. It looks fucking Fede is back finally. I like how it doesn't show much, but it shows what he's going for, like especially with like the blood in the pods.
Yes.
Oh fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah. I think all we wanted is go back to a kind of like a close quarters survival horror, kind of bare bones story, and the fact that Fede is already saying that it's going to be canon within the universe, and very excited. And the xenomorphs look awesome from what we were shown so far. Yes.
Michael Mann says he's deep in pre-production mode on Heat 2, and then it's definitely his next film. I also read that summer 2024 is what they're looking at to start filming.
Ooh, okay. So very, very close.
Yes, it's gonna be good, dude. I love that book. I know you haven't read it yet, but it's fucking good. And I can't wait to see the official casting, dude, because there's a lot of rumors. I know Driver. I know Elvis.
You remember?
And I think he can pull off a fucking Kilmer.
You remember what I said? I said you were like, "What are your thoughts on Austin Butler portraying Val Kilmer's character in Heat?" And I said, I think we're going to judge it off of how he does in Dune 2. And then he was totally slaughtered that role. I thought he did great.
Yeah, he was fucking awesome.
And also, in some random bit of trivia, I guess that you remember that kiss that him and the Baron Stellan Skarsgård share in the movie?
Yes, I know where you're going with this.
Apparently, that was improv. That wasn't scripted.
It's so good, dude. I wonder, like, what Skarsgård was thinking, like, what was going through his head when he kissed him back.
Yeah.
Sandra Hüller is in talks to star as Liam Neeson's love interest in the Naked Gun reboot. I know Sandra is Anatomy of a Fall, right?
Yes.
which I still haven't seen, which I need to. But how do you feel about a Naked Gun reboot? I always have this like fond memory of my dad owning that VHS.
I don't know. Again, I don't know if is that going to be able to work in today?
Now?
Like, it's like a lot of things. It's a product of its time, and it worked for its time. And yeah, that's such a random property to bring back.
I know. And what a brand! Like she's like Oscar nominated. Fucking, he's Liam Neeson.
Yeah. It's Liam
What if they
Neeson.
just go full fucking like complete opposite and just do like a fucking thriller?
Yeah, just called The Naked Gun. They just use the name.
A new Office series is moving forward with Greg Daniels. I feel like we've talked about this a lot, but it's officially moving forward. He's set to develop the show with Michael Coman. The series is likely to be set in a new office with new characters, but set in the same universe. Me being the huge Office fan, I'm kind of stoked for this. I like Greg Daniels and what he does, and I love The Office. It's probably my favorite show of all time. I can probably tell you right now that I've watched the series in its entirety, all 9 seasons, probably between like 20 and 25 times. And it is the reason why. It is the sole reason why every time we come on this fucking show and you tell me you gotta watch it, you gotta go see this movie, that is why I'm watching The Office instead. It's my comfort.
We all have them.
Yes. And some cool toy news. Mattel is bringing back the Street Sharks line for its 30th anniversary. I think they're already up for pre-order right now.
The first line. So I think it's only there's 2 of the sharks and then a villain that are available. So we're still missing a few of the sharks. I guess they're going to do open pre-orders in waves or something.
Okay.
At least that's what I was looking them up yesterday, and they only have 3 figures open for pre-order, and I know there's no way that's it. And they also have some merch too, some shirts and hoodies.
Oh yeah,
hoodies. There's a Jawsome hat. Pretty crazy.
In some badass video game news, Max Payne 1 and 2 is set to have a similar budget to Alan Wake 2. The games are being worked on, obviously, by Remedy, and they're bringing on board Rockstar Games to help them.
That's gonna be a banger.
Yeah, it is, dude. A24 is bringing back 3 movies. They're going to be remastered for fucking IMAX. Ex Machina, Hereditary, and Uncut Gems. You could start the first movie. I don't know which is first, but I know it starts next week.
I think, if my memory serves me correctly, the first one is Ex Machina.
The video game Watch Dogs is getting a movie adaptation, and it'll star Talk to Me stars Sophie Wilde. So that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
I think, but had she been in anything before Talk to Me? Pretty sure that was like.
I mean, it's possible, but nothing that
nothing big, right?
Yeah, nothing that I can call out.
And in my final piece of news, I saved the best for last. True Moo, the milk company, is partnering with Star Wars to release Blue Milk. And let me tell you, Wes, we need more fucking partnerships like this. They don't do shit like this anymore. They don't make weird-ass drinks. They don't do tie-in movie serials anymore like this. So my ass is going to go look for that True Moo Blue Milk.
Have you tasted don't they have that at Galaxy's Edge?
Yeah. It kind of it doesn't taste like milk. I think it's made with. They have a non-dairy one. I think it's made with like a milk base, but it kind of tastes like fucking like Skittles or Starburst.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. And that's all I got for news. What do you got for us?
We had a lot of the same stuff, but I'll start off by I wanted to give a shout out to a couple people that we lost. Hepcat band member Greg Lee passed away recently after some very sudden health complications. Hepcat is a reggae ska band that's been around for a very, very long time. And this was some very sad news. I just saw them open up for the Interrupters in San Diego. So this sucks. But may his music and legacy live on, R.I.P. to Greg. And then also we lost famed character actor M. Emmett Walsh, who you might know from things like Critters, Blade Runner, Blood Simple, Raising Arizona, Knives Out, just to name a few. R.I.P. And then you pretty much covered everything except for there's one big thing. After years of waiting, the third Boondock Saints film is happening with both Norman Reedus and Sean Patrick Flannery returning as the McManus brothers. However, apparently the original writer and director Troy Duffy is stepping aside for this next outing. Thoughts on
That's
this?
interesting.
Do you are you a fan?
Yeah, I'm a fan of dude, honestly, I don't think I've seen the second one. But I'm definitely a fan of the first one.
Yeah, the first one is wild. It's kind of silly, campy, and I can understand why. It has some big detractors, but those two guys, man, their chemistry is so great. And I remember I went to watch the second one in the theaters when it came out, and it's definitely not as good as most sequels aren't, especially with the absence of Willem Dafoe in that. But you get Clifton Collins Jr. as the third, and he is so fucking funny, man. The highlight of that movie. I can't wait to see what they have cooking up for this third one. I know it's been a long, long, long time coming.
Yeah. So I never heard of this. Apparently there was a series on that. Is it Quibi? Quibi?
Yes.
Called The Stranger. It never came out, starring Micah Monroe and Dane DeHaan. And never, like I said, it never saw the light of day until now. The creator, Vina Sud, was given copyright ownership by Quibi, and she's now recut the series into a feature film that will be premiering on Hulu April 15th.
So I have an interesting story to tell you about this. I somehow I knew that was released, and my fucking nerd ass subscribed to that Quibi when it was still around. I don't know if it's even around anymore. And I watched it. I watched it when it came out, and it is so fucking good. The way that Mika, all of her material is good. She's a heavy hitter as far as I'm concerned, and I did not know this. You just blew my mind right now. I don't know how she recut it into a feature-length film, but I'm very, very curious to see how it shapes up.
But yeah, that's all I got.
All right, man. Weekly recommendations. We will rewind back to you, sir.
Yeah. I'm sure we have a couple of the same things. But I went to go see fucking Dune 2 weeks ago, dude, and it blew my fucking mind. It rocks. Denny is still at the top of his game. He's legitimately on fucking God mode right now with the movies he's done in a row. And I can't wait to see what he does with with the third one, or Messiah. But yeah, go check out fucking Dune if you haven't. And famously, I think I said when the first one came out, before the first one came out on the show, that I wasn't looking forward to it, and I wasn't the biggest fan of the books or any of the other movies or shows. But I was blown away by that one, and it probably has a lot to do with Denny. So, thank you, sir.
Yep, right next to Nolan, man. One of the greats.
Yeah. And then a little less than a week ago, I went to go see Love Lies Bleeding, directed by Rose Glass, starring Kristen Stewart and Katie O'Brien, Ed Harris, James Franco, and Jenna Malone. And goddamn, man, it was fucking good. Kind of batshit crazy at the end. These are the types of movies that we need to go and fucking give our money to, so they can continue to make them instead of making fucking 47,000 Avenger movies.
Yeah, dude. As I say all the time, people are always crying on the internet that there's no original ideas. But then when stuff like this comes out, which is an original idea, they don't pay attention, or they find something about it that they don't like to justify not supporting it. And that's why we're getting like the Crow reboot and all of these other IPs, because they're a safe bet and people don't understand. That's why we get things regurgitated back to us, because we need to go out and support more original content.
Yep. I mean, look at you have this, and then Lisa Frankenstein. I know you haven't seen Drive Away Dolls, but you have that. Those are the types of movies that fucking you need to go out and you need to go see. And they don't make a shit ton of money. I think Lisa Frankenstein didn't make shit. And I feel like all three of those movies are movies that deserved big crowds.
To piggyback on your recommendation, I went and saw Love Lies Bleeding this past weekend as well. I loved it. And it was just my partner and I and maybe four other people in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so not a big crowd, which is great for us, because I like to be able to submerge myself into movies and not be bothered by assholes who want to do running commentaries, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, opening weekend, there should have been more people in that showing.
For sure, dude. And then to add on to that, last night I went to go see Late Night with the Devil, directed by Cameron and Colin Cairns. It stars, dude, how do you say his last name? David Dastmalchian?
Yeah, I'm always getting stuck on that as well.
He's fucking awesome, dude. One of the better fucking performances in a horror movie you'll see in a while. If you don't know the premise, it's kind of found footagey. It takes place like on a 70s talk show. Shit goes fucking AWOL. And it's definitely, dude, watching the movie and thinking about it, it's definitely a movie that is going to be in my Halloween rotation, because it takes place on Halloween. But yeah, I mean, everything about it, the way it's shot, the ending, the good little craziness at the end. But yeah, go check out and that show. I went to go see it like at 4:00 on a Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening, whatever. And there's a good amount of people in it, dude. There's about like 30, 40 people there. It was cool to see that many people show up for that.
Hell yeah. I'm planning on seeing it this weekend as well. And I'm excited. My buddy Leslie also just gave it a glowing review for me today. He went to go support it earlier today of this recording, and he told me, whatever you do, make sure you go watch this in a theater. setting.
Yeah. The only thing I will say, I know it's getting a couple days ago, it got a little bit of a backlash because I guess the filmmakers used a couple images of AI art in it. It flashes probably, I think it's no more than like 15 seconds. They're like quick cutaway scenes. I don't know if you heard about it.
I did.
Obviously, fucking AI sucks, right? This movie, I think, was shot like 2 years ago, so it's kind of way before we started to have this fucking discourse on AI art. AI art does fucking suck. It blows. But I will say that the bigger picture is supporting the people that made this movie, because it deserves your support. If you can't look past 20 seconds of AI art in the movie, there's something wrong with you, and you got to look within if something like that is bothering you that much.
Can I ask, how does everybody know that was AI generated art?
So some steals got out, and then from what I remember and what I've read, people, I guess there's a website where you can put an image into it and it'll tell you the percentage of it, likelihood of it being AI art, and it came back like 99%. And then the filmmakers came out and said like yesterday or 2 days ago that they used AI art, so it's confirmed. But we're on some real shit, like real talk. I literally, right before we got on air, I was on TikTok, and like an influencer who's a movie influencer who talks about movies, like did this whole like how it kind of ruined the movie for them. Dude, don't get me wrong, AI art is fucking shit. It doesn't belong in anything, music, movies, anything. But there is a lot of things going on in the world right now. And if that fucking bothers you, and you can make posts and tweets and TikToks and Instagram story posts about that and not other things, again, look within. But yeah, go check out fucking Late Night with the Devil. It fucking rocks. For my next rec, I checked out the first episode of X-Men 97, and it fucking owns, dude. And you better not, when that fucking thing comes up to tell you to skip the fucking intro, you better not. That intro still hits like it used to hit fucking Saturday morning, dude.
I'm glad that you brought that up, because based on your recommendation, because I didn't know it had already started its rotation, this morning I watched both episodes that are available of X-Men 97, and I thought it was amazing. And I remember a few weeks ago on one of our episodes, I had said, I used this as an example of saying X-Men 97 is not for kids today. It's for the kids that grew up with that original show. And I think right now I was totally right, because it is very adult, and they're doing some very cutting edge stuff with animation, and you'll see what I'm talking about when you get to that second episode, man. Holy shit.
Dude, that fucking episode, dude, the way fucking Gambit fucking puts his powers into Wolverine's fucking blades.
Yes.
I thought I fucking levitated off my bed. And Cyclops looks like the fucking the beast that he is. Finally, they hit it out of the ballpark with that one. The only other thing I have to wreck is fucking, obviously what I always wreck is wrestling. We're in Mania season. We're like 2 weeks away from WrestleMania. The card is looking outstanding. Fucking Cody Rhodes and Roman, obviously. And then you have Seth and Drew and Sami Zayn versus Gunther. You have the two Uso brothers fighting each other. a 6-team ladder match for the tag titles. That match is fucking gonna go. You have Bayley versus Io, Rhea versus Becky, and you have the big Rock and Roman versus Seth and Cody. It's gonna be a good fucking Mania, dude. I cannot fucking wait. And then you have fucking LA Knight versus AJ Styles, which I don't know if you saw, but on SmackDown tonight, they like AJ was cutting a promo at his house, and fucking LA Knight went to his house and beat the shit out of him, and then got arrested by the cops. So they're going all out for the storyline. I know. Then you have fucking Randy Orton versus Logan Paul versus Kevin Owens for the U.S. title. And then AEW is doing a lot of good things. They fucking finally Mercedes Moné, formerly Sasha Banks, made her debut 2 weeks ago. They have a good women's roster now, dude, in AEW. And then they signed Kazuchika Okada, which is probably next to Will Ospreay, who they also signed. Probably the two best wrestlers in the world. And Kazuchika Okada beat fucking who did he beat on Wednesday night? Eddie Kingston for the one of the belts he had, one of the 3 belts. And then fucking Adam Copeland beat Christian Cage for the TNT title in an I Quit match. That was fucking awesome. But yeah, dude, check out the wrestling if you haven't.
Always, right?
Yep.
So much to absorb there.
Yeah, that's all I got.
All right. You pretty much touched on everything except for I have one that I wanted to talk about real quick. You haven't watched it. It just came out yesterday, I believe. It's the highly controversial Roadhouse remake.
What are your thoughts? I need to hear it.
I watched it last night, and I enjoyed it. It's very fun. It's very intentionally goofy. Gyllenhaal is great. Choreography is great. Conor McGregor is just insane.
I heard that he's not the greatest of actor, but he like goes all out in the fucking batshit crazy area, so it kind of works for him.
Yeah, I think that is why they picked him, is because he is just chaotic, you know. He's just there to confuse and create tension, and he does a really good job, in my opinion, you know. And I'm not even a big McGregor guy, but he's pretty funny. He's got the charisma going for him. I will say some weird things about it is that it starts off with a very serious tone, and I was into it, and it's very dark, right? Mm-hmm. Very dark tone. Dalton is kind of like homeless in this, struggling with mental health because of his past. So it's a very kind of different character arc for our main protagonist. But then it gets very hokey, and they're like self-referencing that it is, you know, a Roadhouse remake. So it kind of gets a little weird there, where it doesn't know what it wants to be as a film. And that, I think that would be like my main gripe with it. I think it's like, who is this for? And what were your guys's what were you guys trying to accomplish? But as far as the action and the fighting and the choreography and stuff, it's all there. Very, very entertaining, and that's what we want at the end of the day. And I was very disappointed that Austin Post really isn't in it.
Oh, really?
After all that hype, yeah.
5,
for the movie focus of the week.
All right, so this week we're talking about The Iron Claw. It's rated R. It's from 2023. It's a sports drama. It runs at 2 hours and 11 minutes, and it's got a well-deserved 89 on Rotten. It's written and directed by Sean Durkin, starring Zac Efron, Jeremy Allen White, Harris Dickinson, Mara Tierney, Stanley Simmons, Lily James, and Holt McCallany. The film follows the real-life story of the Von Erich's wrestling family dynasty and their constant struggles with tragedy from the late 70s up until the early 1990s. Writer-director Sean Durkin had been wanting to tell the story of this family for years, being an avid supporter of pro wrestling in his earlier years. He began research for the film's screenplay in 2015. Prior to the success of Iron Claw, Durkin was known for Martha Marcy May, Marlene, starring Elizabeth Olsen, and The Nest, starring Carrie Coon and Jude Law. In the first half of 2002, the cast was slowly revealed for The Iron Claw, with production starting up in October of 2022. Which lasted just 6 weeks. Because of the family's connection with Texas, the premiere took place at the Texas Theater in Dallas on November 8th, 2023, shortly after the infamous SAG-AFTRA strikes. Being under the A24 banner also allowed the film to continue production throughout the strike because of A24's long-standing positive relationship with the union. The film would open in the U.S. on December 22nd, 2023, with Lionsgate handling the UK release just a few months after. Overall, The Iron Claw was a perfect film, balancing the right amount of drama within the world of wrestling without alienating its audience. It's very clear the filmmaker had a deep appreciation for the tragic story and handled it with love and care, successfully breaking all of our hearts all over again. The attention to detail with Chavo Guerrero not only having a cameo but being the wrestling stunt coordinator is brilliant and truly shows on screen, with all of the matches being one shot with zero edits. The score was handled by Arcade Fire's Richard Reed Perry, which just brings so much of the movie alive and meshes perfectly with the cinematography. Every one of the cast is leaving everything they have on the mat, successfully gutting all of us as spectators. Mainstream films based in the world of wrestling really don't come around too often, so this was a welcomed addition, and it was so nice to see that people went out to support the project, grossing $43.2 million against its $15.9 million budget. Not only was it a financially successful story, but critically adored, with pretty much everyone agreeing that it is a modern masterpiece. 5 dropkicks out of 5. Rent or buy it now. Thank you. All right, man. I know we both experienced this in the theater on separate occasions.
Mm-hmm.
I think you saw it first. You loved it. I thought it was near perfect, but I want to hear like what do you love about this movie, and how do you think it stacks up against the actual story?
Yeah, man, I loved it. I think it was. I'm right there with you, thinking it's a 5 out of 5. Yeah, we went opening night to see it, and I was completely blown away, dude. I think just like where it stacks up next to all the best picture nominees this year, what I saw, it was right there. I know I think you're on record saying that this is probably your favorite movie of 2023, right?
Yes.
This was my number 2, but it was right there with Past Lives, I think. It's a story that is kind of hard to believe that it's real, but I think they did such a beautiful job at making it. It's a movie that's very and it's a very haunting story, but they do it so soft and beautiful, you know. And the performances definitely definitely help with that. I don't think it's been a while since I've cried that hard in a movie theater, dude. And it was not just me, like Sandy was crying, like the two girls next to me were crying, and I wasn't just like, I was like sobbing, you know, it's like hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it does a good job at telling that story. Obviously, it's a movie, so it has to cut things out. You know, it can't be a 4-hour fucking movie. And I know, you know, it definitely sucks that they cut one of the brothers' stories out. I understand why they did it. This movie is forever going to be a movie that you scratch your head at, wondering why Zac Efron, Jeremy Allen White, Sean Durkin, even Holt, who played Fritz, weren't nominated for anything. It's a fucking travesty, honestly.
Yeah, like not one of them, not one of them.
Yeah.
That is...
Even Mara Tineri, she is so good at the mom, at playing Doris Von Erich. Yeah, dude, I can't say anything more good about this movie. It's perfect, and it's the best. I know we touched on that movie and we did an episode on The Wrestler. I love that movie. This movie is like miles ahead of that.
And that's really saying something, because The Wrestler is great. Or not?
Yeah. I think it's one of those things that is, it's The Wrestler's fucking awesome. It's great. It's one of the better sports movies, right? But I think why The Iron Claw is so much better is I couldn't relate. Obviously, if you have problems like he did in The Wrestler, you can definitely relate to it. But I couldn't relate to something like that, right? I love wrestling, and I get that sometimes wrestling is a shit. Most of the time, it's a fucking shitty sport to take part in. But I think the Iron Claw just means so much more to me because I can relate to it, you know, in not obviously not all that loss, but the loss, the way it handles toxic masculinity, and the way it handles how, you know, obviously they were brought up a certain way, and men aren't supposed to cry, and men aren't supposed to have feelings. And I think a lot of times, even now, men are kind of, you know, not kind of mental health issues are kind of put on the back burner a lot of times for men, right? Or they think it needs to be because they have to uphold this, you know, I'm a man. And the Iron Claw touches on all that.
Yeah, it really does, and it does it in a very great way. And I totally agree with you how it's more relatable, in that, like, I could see myself in that story with how I grew up, you know, besides, you know, replacing the brothers with my sisters, you know, my home life was very, very similar to that. And it's something that most of my family, my younger family, my siblings and I are still trying to navigate and grow and get better from, traumatically. And so, yeah, I think that's why it hit me even harder in the theater, like watching it unfold in this cinematic way, because in a lot of ways, I think that I was that kind of Kevin archetype, you know. completely overshadowed and thrown into a corner and kind of forgotten about, and you're not allowed to kind of share your feelings or just live life the way that you're supposed to in a healthy way, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I respected Zac Efron's portrayal of that character so much, because he does such a goddamn good job of being this person that felt very guarded by his family, so much as that he didn't even know social cues or how to speak to people or how to even navigate his fame, have relationships, you know, and that goes for all the brothers, just like, and it all stemmed back from Fritz, the dad, trying to live vicariously through his sons and fix his failures through his family, and ultimately kind of drilling his family into the ground, unfortunately. And it takes like all of this tragedy to finally stop it and hopefully overcome this supposed curse, right? Yeah, there's so much to unpack here, and I think it's like, this is a film that's like endlessly rewatchable, you know. And and like I said in my write-up, it does a great job of being universal in the way that you can watch it and not give a shit about wrestling and still appreciate the film and understand what it's trying to do. And it's a pretty big, like, American history story that probably not a lot of people know about unless you were, you know, a wrestling head growing up. Speaking about that, I wanted to give a shout out of that for that Dark Side of the Ring episode that kind of goes into more details that the movie had to leave out, you know. Specifically the brother Chris, who I guess Sean Durkin left out of the screenplay because he felt like it would have been too unrealistic to have another death within the film, because they were already condensing the timeline really tightly, because there's a lot of things that happen. It feels like it's happening back to back, but in reality, there was a lot more time that had went by between these, in between the death of certain brothers. And of course, narratively, you have to think about how it's going to be most impactful within a movie setting, right? So, like you said, I completely agree with you on that front. Is you have to have certain embellishments and switch things around to make it make sense for a movie. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that it's I think there's more reality in this than fiction, which is good.
Yeah. What out of the three brothers that they do show, which story kind of hits you the hardest?
I really felt for Mike, which is the youngest son, because he was obviously not cut out to be a sports guy. He was a musician, like that. He was the artsy kid, right? And he was just wanted to have fun and fucking jam and stuff. And you can tell they make it a point to show you within that family dynamic that nobody besides his brothers are really supporting his passion, you know. And they don't even, like, they're having dinner outside or lunch, and Mike is trying to tell him, like, hey, I have this gig tonight and I really love music, and the mom just totally overshadows him and switches it to, like, oh, you're musical just like your father, and they just make it about Fritz. Yeah, you know, and it's like, it's so weird. And then, you know, Mike is like, well, I do have a gig and it just so happens to be tonight, It's at the I think he says it's like at the Dallas University or something, right?
Yeah.
And the mom is just like, well, nope, you're too young. Sorry, you can't do that. And then all of his brothers are like, hey, like, it's cool. We'll take him. We'll play the gig, and then we'll come right back home. It's all good. She's like, no. I said, no, it's not happening. And then they sneak him out so he can play anyway. And that even though it's such a small detail, that's one of my favorite parts in the film, is like when Carrie is watching him play, and you can tell that they're like so proud.
I think that's why it kind of when everything does start to go to shit, and all the brothers start to pass away. I think that's why it hurts so much. But obviously, we know the story and everything, but they do such a good job in little details like that of making you realize how much all of them loved each other and how much they backed each other no matter what. And I know I got a lot of. I remember reading some things about how it was kind of a little slow in the beginning, but it had to do that, you know, to make what happens, you know, feel the way make you feel the way you did while watching it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like writing this story, you have to spend 45 minutes to an hour really getting to grow with these brothers and truly understanding their bond, so that when the tragedies hit, you feel the connection, and it's impactful. If they went into it and they rushed that, it just becomes like trauma porn, you know? And it's not going to feel earned. But with the amount of time and the things that you're able to experience with these characters, I think that it really it brings it to the next level, because you feel like you know them, and that's where the acting really comes into play. Because like Carrie, who is played by Jeremy Allen White of The Bear, he doesn't come in for a while because his story is that he's off and he's going to be in the Olympics, right? But then there's this big issue where basically the U.S. pulls out of Moscow, and they refuse to send their guys over to compete in Moscow. So Carrie is unfortunately sent home and is robbed of that kind of victory. And it also puts him in this weird place where now Fritz is like, well, you don't got anything going on, so I would like you to wrestle with your brothers. That's what you're going to do. And he, you know, and because everybody is like respects their dad and fears their dad so much, he doesn't even question it. He's like, yeah, you know, I'd love that. Let's do it. And it's a weird dynamic because I think Fritz puts a lot of strain on the brothers' relationship because they start trying to be number one, because it's very, very clear that Fritz, or Holt's character, the dad, is a very weird individual who kind of openly rates his sons and who's his favorite down to the least, you know. And he says that in the beginning of the film where they're at the breakfast table, and he's like, you know, but that lineup can always change, you know, so do what you gotta do, essentially. So toxic. And he's so stubborn and hard-headed the entire time. It's infuriating, but I think that just speaks of the great actor that Holt is as well, because they make you dislike him because he had the power that entire time to stop all of that negativity, but they just kind of still feed into this curse that's going on. But it's really like you guys are kind of railroading yourselves over and over again, and making the wrong decisions. Was there anything that you didn't like?
Not really, dude. I think honestly, I think just like that. I think they could have maybe gone. It's funny because I think they could have gotten a better Ric Flair. But he's a fucking turd anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. That I was kind of laughing when they did that, when he cut that promo, that Flair.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's such a shitty impersonation.
It really is. It's fucking terrible. I don't see how they thought it was, unless they're like trolling and fucking someone like Chavo or someone like didn't like Flair to begin with. But like I said, he's a turd anyway. So
he's Chavo plays Iron Sheik, right?
Yeah,
that's
Sheiky baby. R.I.P. He just passed away.
That's right. Right.
Speaking of the Von Erichs, it was kind of cool to see the sons, Kevin's sons. They had been wrestling in Ring of Honor, and I think they wrestled like a once or twice on Rampage, but I know they did it a good amount of times on Ring of Honor.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I know they did. They show like his big ass family at the end of the movie.
Yeah, that'd be a fucking awesome DLC, dude.
Oh
do the claw on people. Iron Claw I think comes out on physical this coming week.
Do you know of any? Is it getting any kind of special edition yet?
No, not that I've seen. It's just getting like a basic Blu-ray digital.
Okay.
But it's definitely something I will be picking up.
We didn't talk about Jack Jr.
Yeah, dude. How were you already ugly crying?
Yes. Yeah, I was, man.
And you know what's so fucking good about that scene is like, I think we can both say that, we're religion isn't a big part of our lives, right?
Right.
We're not too religious. But there's always that that thought, of wanting there to be something, something we go to where we get to, see the people that have moved on and that aren't with us anymore. There's people that we miss and people in our lives that we hold in high regards, and we hope that someday we kind of get to see them once more. And it does such a good job, dude, of giving you that, right? It doesn't necessarily say it's like in heaven or not. You just kind of see all the brothers and they're reunited, and you see the littlest brother and he's there as well, and fucking goddamn it, dude.
For context, so Jack Jr. was the firstborn son of the Von Erichs, and he tragically passed away as a child. I think they were in Niagara Falls at the time, the family, and he was like electrocuted accidentally with something, and he fell and drowned in some like melting snow or something really messed up. And they kind of briefly touch on this in the film, but they don't go into detail for obvious reasons. So when you see when Carrie, takes his life, and he walks outside the house, and I know you've talked about that moment in the movie before where Carrie when he finally gets his belt, he doesn't know how to contain himself, and he had been on a bender, and he decides to go for a motorcycle ride at night and he loses one of his feet, and he hides that injury for years, goes into the WWE, nobody knows. And it's extremely, extremely painful performing that way, you know? And it's like I think that tension and not wanting to let down his family and everything, the burden of holding on to that for so long just got to him, and, you know, mental health issues, and so he ultimately takes his life. But in the context of the movie, we see Carrie walk outside his house in the afterlife, and he jumps up and has both of his feet again, which is like the smallest detail, but it matters so much in the grand scheme of things. And then as he goes, you know, he walks on, he gets on this boat, and he comes up to this dock, and, you know, all of his fallen brothers are there, including Jack Jr., still as a kid when he passed. And Carrie kind of shares that moment. He picks him up, and it's like this reunion, and there's this kind of bonding thing where when the brothers, everybody except for David, they make a reference of, like, you know, to like Carrie says in his suicide note, "Tonight I walk with my brothers," right? And then Mike does the same thing where he's like, you know, "I'm sorry if I hurt you. I'm going on to a better place." And that reveal at the end that they are really together and get to spend, you know, be together in the afterlife is super touching. And I remember when you first saw it, you told me, you know, I'm not going to say how it ends, but the ending shouldn't have worked, but it really, really does. It makes the movie, for me, I think that wrapping it up in such a way makes it a home run through and through.
And then just seeing that and getting that scene with Efron, he's watching his sons play, right? They're like throwing around a football, and he's just watching them kind of out there, and he starts to kind of cry, and they come up to him. They notice that he's sad and that he's crying, and they ask him, you know, why. And he even doesn't he apologize to them for crying? Yes. And one of the sons says, you know, it's okay, Dad. Like, you can cry. It's okay to cry. And then he tells him, you know, he tells him why he's crying is because he used to be a brother. And getting those two scenes kind of back to back, right? It was heartbreaking.
It is, especially because Zac Efron's character, if you note, and this is something that I realized later on after having seen the movie for a while, that he's holding back his emotions through the entire thing until that moment with his two kids, where he finally breaks down and he's able to show his emotions, to actually cry. But we don't see him cry despite all of this heartache for the entire movie.
Yeah.
And it's pretty sad, man. Especially thinking about, you know, Kevin is still with us today, and he seems very happy. But I'm sure he still thinks about them on a day-to-day basis, you know. If you're listening to this and you haven't seen this movie, hopefully we didn't ruin anything for you, but it's very, very good. Check it out. It's on. It's currently on digital. It's coming to physical next week, you said?
Yeah, next week.
A24's got the vinyl up for pre-order. If music is your thing, check that out. Support. And it's funny how they kind of skipped. You know, we did get the figure, which we both pre-ordered from A24. Got the Kevin Von Erich figure. Waiting. But they still haven't really dropped too much merch for this. And I wonder why. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of crazy. Because even now with Love Lies Bleeding, they have all a couple shirts and a hat. And you essentially got the record, the figure, and that's it. And the foam hand. Yeah, it's kind of crazy they didn't put anything else up.
Not to say that can't come later. I'm sure they're gonna do one of those like deluxe like binding editions for the Blu-ray eventually.
Yes, I would love one of those script books they do.
Oh yeah. You know, I just saw. So I've never seen one of those in real life until just yesterday. We were record shopping, and one of our local shops had somebody turned in the Ex Machina one, dude.
Fuck.
And it's pristine, sitting there.
How much?
It was $50.
Yeah, those things go for a good, nice penny.
How much are they, like, brand new? Do you know?
I think they're about like $35, $45.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, they're pretty expensive.
But going back, like I had said, I never held one in my hand until yesterday, and they are such nice quality, dude. We're talking embossed, hardcover, oversized, beautiful. Any last words for Ironclaw?
No, go fucking, like you said, go check it out. Go and buy it next week, or buy it digitally right now. But yeah, just go support this fucking film.
That leads us to announcing what we're going to be doing for the end of the month show. So Chris Pawlak will be returning for his end of the month takeover for March, and we're doing a little film starring George Clooney and an early Jennifer Lopez. It's called Out of Sight.
Oh yeah, dude, that's a fucking solid ass fucking film. I'm very shocked you guys aren't doing Passion of the Christ for Easter, but that's just as good.
Oh, speaking of Passion of the Christ, isn't it that one weirdo guy that plays him?
It is that one weirdo guy. we won't speak of his name.
Yeah.
But
yeah, but Out of Sight, I know it's one of Chris's very favorite movies. I'm sure he's super excited to talk about it. He read the book again in preparation for the show. How much effort and love do you have to have for something to do that kind of research, right?
that's why he's the best, dude.
The GOAT, for sure. Forever. Shout out to Chris Pawlak. who I kind of slyly convinced to watch The Iron Claw because I don't think he was had any interest. He's not a big pro wrestling guy, which is funny because I'm pretty sure he loved the wrestler, but he was like, I don't think I'm in any hurry to watch it because I don't really care about wrestling. And I was like, dude, pretty sure that it's going to supersede anything you have against wrestling. I think you should go and watch this regardless, and you're going to appreciate it. He did, went to see it in the theater, and he loved it. He did point out, he was like, what's wrong with, what happened to Zac Efron? Does he have like some kind of prosthetics on his face or something on his jaw? And I'm not sure, dude, because...
Okay, so what I remember reading is that I think he was in an accident recently.
Yeah.
Or a while ago, right? And that kind of made how they had to fix it is why he looks like that.
That's what I had told Chris too, because I know he had like reconstructive surgery out for his jaw.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then it's kind of it was strange because if you see like his kind of promotions, the promotional interviews and stuff for Iron Claw, where he's like not as jacked anymore, his face looks more normal now. So I don't know if it was just like that massive weight that he put on plus the
I think that's what it was.
Surgery.
It had to have been.
But Out of Sight next week. If you're stumbling upon this podcast and you're wondering what it is we're doing, we go by Drop the Mic, and we've been doing this for about 6.5 years-ish, which is a very long time. We are available on all podcast platforms, including YouTube, Luminary, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it. We're probably on there. So check us out if you haven't already. Subscribe. Give us that 5-star rating, a little nice review if you're feeling generous. We appreciate it. It keeps us relevant. And we apologize for the radio silence for the last almost 2 weeks. But we promise that we are going to have tons of more content coming down the pipe for the year, and hopefully much more in the future. Thanks for Ryan for making time for the show. I know you love this movie just as much as I do, and I'm glad we got to talk about something contemporary, because lately I feel like we've been going in the past a lot, so it's cool to talk about something that's relevant right now in current times, and I felt like it kind of got snubbed as far as the Oscars.
And then again, to snub this movie, Iron Claw, for everything, and I've read different things on why it could have been and why it probably was, and it probably didn't give A24 didn't give it enough press, and it didn't go to South what's it called? It didn't hit South by South, or what's the festival in Austin?
Is in
South by Southwest, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it did. It's one of the few movies that it didn't open there. So I think that's where it could have hit a snag, because after that, movies usually tend to kind of snowball. But like on some real shit, real talk, I think Zac Efron could have easily fucking beaten fucking Killian.
Wow. Wow. Okay. All right.
As much as I love that, and as much as I loved Oppenheimer and that role, dude, Efron's a fucking powerhouse. Yeah. These Oscars were a little weird.
But yeah, this was a great episode. Again, thank you so much for joining me, yes. Ryan.
You're very welcome.
And until next week, where Chris will be joining us, we'll say good fight.
And good night.
Ever since I was a child, people said my family was cursed. Mom tried to protect us with God. Pop tried to protect us with wrestling. He said if we were the toughest, the strongest, nothing could ever hurt us. I believed him. We all did.